Today's case doesn't begin with shouting. There's no dramatic betrayal caught on camera. No single explosive argument that changes everything in an instant. Instead, this case unfolds quietly, slowly, in moments that felt small at the time, but impossible to ignore later. Welcome back to the courtroom. Today, the court presents the case of a couple who agreed on everything, except one crucial truth. And when that truth finally surfaced, Reddit couldn't agree on who was really at fault. Jurors, take your seats, because this case asks a dangerous question. If someone tells you who they are, do you listen? The man at the center of this story was 32. Stable job. No history of cheating. No dramatic relationship baggage. The woman he was dating was 30. Emotionally expressive. Deeply introspective. The kind of person who believed that love should be talked through, not assumed. They met through mutual friends. The chemistry was immediate, but not overwhelming. Comfortable. Easy. Early dates stretched into long conversations. They shared routines, inside jokes, future plans that weren't concrete, but weren't imaginary either. From the outside, it looked like a healthy relationship, and for a while, it was. But beneath the calm surface, something subtle was missing. Not affection, not commitment. Something quieter, something harder to name. The first sign wasn't an argument. It was silence. When she talked about her fears, he listened, but didn't engage. When she asked how he felt, he answered, but briefly. He was present, but distant. Supportive, but restrained. She noticed that he rarely shared emotional vulnerability unless prompted, and when he did, it felt rehearsed. At first, she told herself she was overthinking it. Not everyone expresses emotions the same way. But patterns form when moments repeat. She was the one initiating deeper conversations. She was the one naming emotional shifts. She was the one asking questions that didn't always get answers. Still, there were no fights, no raised voices, no ultimatums. Just a growing sense that something essential wasn't being reciprocated, and she didn't know if it was fair to ask for more. The turning point came during an ordinary night. They were sitting on the couch, a quiet evening, no tension. She mentioned a stressful situation at work, not looking for solutions, just understanding. He nodded, he listened, and then he said something that changed how she heard everything else. "I don't really process emotions like that," he said calmly. "I care. I just don't feel the need to talk through it." It wasn't cruel. It wasn't dismissive. It was honest. And that honesty landed heavier than anger ever could. She didn't respond right away. She smiled. She changed the subject. But something shifted internally. Because this wasn't about one conversation anymore. It was about what would never come. When the story hit Reddit, the comments split almost immediately. One user wrote, "He told her exactly who he was. That's not emotional neglect, that's emotional honesty." Another added, "Not everyone needs to emotionally dissect every feeling. That doesn't make him a bad partner." But others saw it differently. One comment read, "If you're in a relationship and refuse emotional availability, you're opting out of intimacy." Another juror responded, "This isn't about communication styles, it's about mismatched emotional needs." The courtroom was already divided, and the story hadn't even escalated yet. A few weeks later, she brought it up again, not accusing, not emotional, carefully. She explained that she felt alone sometimes, even when they were together. That she needed emotional presence, not just physical proximity. He didn't argue, but he didn't bend either. He told her he cared deeply, that he loved her in his own way, but that he wasn't someone who could offer more emotional depth than he already was. "I don't want to pretend I'm someone else," he said. That sentence echoed, because suddenly the question wasn't, can he change? It was, should she accept this as enough? And that question has no easy answer. The second wave of Reddit reactions was even more conflicted. One user argued, expecting someone to fundamentally change how they experience emotions is unfair. Another countered, relationships require compromise. Emotional stonewalling isn't a personality trait, it's a choice. Some tried to take the middle ground. Neither of them is wrong, they're just incompatible. But others pushed back hard on that idea. Incompatibility still hurts. Someone still loses. The comments grew longer, more personal. People weren't just debating the story anymore. They were debating themselves. So jurors, this is where the case gets complicated. Because no one lied. No one cheated. No one manipulated. He was honest about his limits. She was honest about her needs. Was it justified for her to feel unfulfilled? Or was it unreasonable to ask for emotional labor he never promised? Is emotional availability a requirement or a preference? And if someone tells you early on that they can't meet a need, is it unfair to stay and hope anyway? This isn't a case of right versus wrong. It's a case of cost. What if this conversation had happened earlier? What if she had asked deeper questions at the beginning? What if he had articulated his emotional boundaries sooner? Would they have ended things before attachment formed? Or would it have changed nothing because feelings don't wait for logic? Some Redditors speculated that early clarity could have saved both of them pain. Others argued that emotional understanding only reveals itself over time. You don't know what you're missing until you feel the absence. They didn't break up that night. They tried, quietly, for a few more weeks. But the conversations felt heavier, more fragile. She began holding back her feelings, not because she didn't have them, but because she didn't want to ask for what he couldn't give. And he noticed the distance, but didn't know how to bridge it. Eventually, the decision was mutual. No shouting, no blame. Just the acknowledgement that love alone wasn't solving the problem. Months later, she reported feeling more emotionally grounded, but still conflicted. He moved on too, seemingly unaffected, but quieter. And both wondered the same thing in private. Was this avoidable or inevitable? So jurors, the court now turns to you. Was this a fair boundary or emotional neglect in disguise? Was it right to walk away? Or should one of them have tried harder? If someone loves you but can't meet your emotional needs, is that enough? Court is adjourned, but the verdict is yours. Drop your judgment below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, be sure to hit like and subscribe.